What is one piece of career advice you wish you were told when you first started out?
Well, the first and foremost thing that I have noticed is that your career is as unique as you. And what that by this I mean to say is we can choose our own career paths, we can choose our own journeys. Our career evolves with the way we evolve. We learn different things as we go along in our journey, and that's why that that personal touch on our own careers has to come from within. So what we need to own our careers, we need to show our desire, we need to be able to take the right decisions, the right steps that we think will take us to where we want to be, and then we don't have to feel afraid about it. The most important thing here is that we have to try, we have to be open to feedback, we have to open up for criticism sometimes and be able to accept it and learn from it and move on. I've hardly had a situation in my life where I've not had adverse or negative feedback from things I've done. But that's okay. That's part of the journey. It's important to roll on with it and understand, these are the things that probably could have been done better in retrospect, or some things that we did really well. We should celebrate those and also learn from them as well, because those are the things we want to keep doing in the future as well, if they keep giving us the benefit that we think they will. So it's really important that we sort of build our own career path. We try to design our own journey right from the scratch and see, is this really where we want to be, knowing that the person that we are, and then how might we get there? Because there is something which is called a goal, then there is a reality that sits behind it, and then there is an objective that we want to work through, and how we'll get to that. So once we try to bring it all together, I think that's where we find ourselves into a fulfilling career.
What was a pivotal moment in your journey that had a significant impact?
So I'll have to take myself back into the time when COVID was prevalent, and it was a very difficult time for a lot of people personally. And obviously it was a global pandemic, and there was a lot of difficult times for a lot of people back then. And I think the dynamics at work was also not very conducive for growth and collaboration. Everyone was working from home, and there was a lot of gaps in communication across the board, because people couldn't really face up to each other, so to say, because hiding behind screens is a different proposition than being face to face. And I think at that point what I found was there were changes in my own team. I had a lot of colleagues who moved on into different areas. I had my manager who I relied upon a lot for valuable advice and support. And my manager also moved on to a different role at that point. And what I found myself was in a situation which was not just challenging for myself, but also the people around me for various reasons. Some people had family issues, some had own personal things to deal with. And it was globally and all around, it wasn't really a very good time for people, right? So at that point, I found myself in a space where I was not just vulnerable, but I was also feeling a bit confused as to what my next step should be, and just making sure that I do the best in the current now state as well. So at that point, I felt that I needed to think broader than I really had thought before. I had to think a bit more outside the box. I had to take on things that I previously had not really delved into, some skills that I never really had to showcase or never really thought I had the need to develop. I had to do those things as well. So that put me out of my comfort zone in a way at that point. And that was pivotal in the sense that I was in a comfort zone before. I was doing a lot of things that I really wanted to do, and I was very okay with doing all of that. But then this showed me a new direction as to what I may be able to do in the future. Now, that may not necessarily be the only thing that I'm future, but definitely got me thinking in the direction that there are things outside of my current view that are sitting out there and things that I can potentially try and look into. Now, one of them was getting into people leadership, and that is one of the things that I was actually doing at the time, and I really enjoyed doing it, ever since. So that was one thing that I really hung on to at that point, and that stayed with me, that someday I want to go back into people leadership as well. So all the necessary ingredients that I think I needed to build at that time was adaptability, keeping my curiosity, being open to ideas, listening to people, and being courageous about it, because not everything is going to work out the way we want it to, but then still important to try and be prepared to fail and accept that we might fail.
As a leader, what are the key attributes you are looking for when hiring for your roles?
So the most important thing that I look for in any prospective candidate is attitude, because as they say, you can teach skills, you can't teach attitude, and that's really important. More so in a setting like a workplace where you need to work with a lot of people around you. You need to be able to adjust to different cultures, different backgrounds, ethnicities. It does bring a lot of focus on your people skills, your communication skills, as well as the way you react to the changes going on around you. So squad setting is really, where we see a person's actual personality coming out. And that's where I think your attitude really stands out. If a person is a team player, it's very easy to work with them. It makes a lot easier to have them on board. And it makes a lot easier to train them. It makes a lot easier for the people to work with them, and it makes a lot easier for everybody else around to be able to work with that person. So I think that really stands out to me. The second thing is desire. It's very important that the person who comes into a new organization demonstrates the desire to want to learn. Yes, we hire based on skill set, and we look at how well a person can project their skills and tell us how good they are. But it's also important that once they're inside, they adapt to the place equally well, and they show their desire to learn about the new workplace and mix in and settle in with the people as well, because that's an important part of their integration into the organization. If that integration doesn't work well, it's not a win-win for everybody. It's actually a detrimental outcome for all involved if a person has come in with a lot of potential, but they cannot integrate well into a team surrounding.